Please like and subscribe. Once upon a time, in the 13th century, a great battle was fought between two kingdoms, each vying for control of a fertile valley that was prized for its resources and strategic location. The battle had been brewing for years, with tensions between the two kingdoms growing steadily, until finally, it reached a boiling point and war broke out. On one side was the Kingdom of Ardinia, a powerful and wealthy nation with a large army and vast resources. Their king, a proud and ambitious man, was determined to expand his kingdom's borders and secure the valley for himself. On the other side was the Kingdom of Dainthur, a smaller, but no less determined, kingdom with a fierce and skilled army. Their king was equally determined to defend his people's land and prevent Ardinia from taking what was rightfully theirs. As the armies gathered on the battlefield, tensions were high and the air was thick with the sound of drums and trumpets. The Ardinian army, dressed in shiny armor and waving colorful banners, marched forward with a sense of confidence and power. The Dainthurian army, dressed in rugged leather and wielding swords and spears, waited patiently, knowing that their strength lay in their ability to fight as a cohesive unit. The battle began with a charge from the Ardinian cavalry, their horses thundering forward in a wall of steel and flesh. The Dainthurian infantry stood firm, their shields held high as they braced themselves for the impact. The two forces collided in a violent clash of metal and flesh, with the sound of swords and axes ringing out across the battlefield. The Ardinian army fought with ferocity and determination, their well-trained soldiers cutting through the Dainthurian lines with ease. But the Dainthurian soldiers were not easily defeated. They fought with courage and tenacity, their swords and spears striking out with deadly accuracy. As the battle raged on, it became clear that neither side was willing to give up the fight. The Ardinian king, seeing that his army was starting to falter, rode out onto the field, his sword held high. He rallied his troops, inspiring them to fight harder and push forward. But the Dainthurian king was not to be outdone. He rode out onto the field as well, his armor glinting in the sunlight. He shouted words of encouragement to his soldiers, urging them to stand firm and fight to the death if need be. As the battle continued, it became clear that the Dainthurian army was gaining ground. Their soldiers fought with a fierce determination that the Ardinians could not match. The Ardinian king, seeing that the battle was lost, ordered a retreat. But it was too late. The Dainthurian soldiers pressed forward, cutting down the retreating enemy with ruthless efficiency. In the end, the battle was a victory for the Kingdom of Dainthur. The Ardinian army had been defeated, and the valley was secure. But the cost had been high. The battlefield was littered with the bodies of fallen soldiers, and both kingdoms had lost many of their bravest and most skilled fighters. The two kings met on the field of battle, their faces grim and their hearts heavy. They shook hands, acknowledging each other's courage and determination. And they pledged to never let such a terrible war break out between their kingdoms again. As the armies retreated from the battlefield, the valley was left silent, its fields and forests scarred by the violence of war. But in the years that followed, new life sprouted up from the ashes of the battle, and the land began to heal. And though the memory of that terrible day would live on for generations to come, the people of the valley knew that they had survived, and they had learned the value of peace and cooperation. The two kingdoms, once bitter enemies, now worked together to ensure the prosperity and safety of the valley. They built roads and bridges, established trade agreements, and even shared resources in times of need. As for the two kings, they remained true to their word. They continued to meet regularly, to discuss matters of mutual concern, and to ensure that the peace between their kingdoms remained strong. Over time, they even became friends, exchanging letters and gifts, and sharing stories of their families and their lives. Despite the peace, however, there were still those who longed for the days of war and conquest. Some Ardinians resented their defeat, and plotted revenge against the Kingdom of Dainthur. Others, in Dainthur, worried that their newfound prosperity and safety had made them soft, and that they were no longer ready to defend themselves against potential enemies. These fears proved to be well-founded, when a group of Ardinian rebels, fueled by their anger and hatred, launched a surprise attack on the Kingdom of Dainthur. The attack was swift and brutal, catching the Dainthurian army off guard and inflicting heavy casualties. But the Dainthurians did not falter. They rallied their forces and fought back with ferocity and determination. The Ardinian rebels were no match for their well-trained soldiers, and they were quickly defeated. The two kingdoms, still committed to their pledge of peace and cooperation, came together to discuss the attack and to determine how best to prevent future violence. They agreed to work together to root out the rebels and to strengthen their defenses against potential attacks. Over time, the valley once again grew peaceful and prosperous. The people, no longer consumed by the fear and hatred of war, were free to live their lives, to work the land, and to raise their families in safety and security. And though there would always be those who longed for the days of conquest and glory, the memory of the great battle of the 13th century remained a powerful reminder of the cost of war and the importance of peace. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.